What's up and welcome back to the Kevin's Coast to Coast Gambling Show, once again being hosted by both David Samarin and myself. I think it's only the second time we've done this. We're going to try to keep it a little quicker because it is Saturday. It's Halloween. I know you guys have plans probably to get to. The Sunday games will be on us in no time. So actually, before we get to football, I wanted to ask you, you and Volpe did a Halloween movie breakdown, basically, just spotlighting different movies. I haven't listened to it yet. I'm planning on listening to it right after this so I can watch some movies tonight. But if you want to give a brief description, how do you think that went? What would you guys talk about?
Yeah, so Volpe and I, this is really our wheelhouse. You know what I mean? Like the weird horror movies, little-known horror movies or horror movies that are overlooked and things like that. So I used it as an opportunity to, because I had just, the way it worked out was I had been watching some things recently and I was like, I'm going to create a segment of things not to watch. Do not ruin your Halloween watching these things. And looking back on it, they're probably so obscure that most people aren't going to stumble upon them. So now I feel bad that I've somehow like inadvertently alerted them to people's existence, you know? So, but it is what it is. If you want to watch these horrible movies, they're coming out. So there's good recommendations, things to watch, very uncomfortable movies, but some good fun stuff on the side. And then there's also, do not watch these movies. These will ruin your day. These will ruin your month. Probably watching these will haunt your nightmare. So we run the gambit of great things to go check out. There's tons of stuff out there. There's never ending horror content. And then we threw in the real classics of things that, do not ever go watch these. And Volpe hadn't seen any of the three main ones that I mentioned. But we do talk about one classic that is both horrible to watch, but an incredible film. So I'll just throw it out there, but it's the French Martyrs version, the French original version. Go check that out. Prepare yourself for a pretty brutal, absolutely horrible time, but it's actually an incredible film. So there are a few instances like that where great movie, but tough to watch.
Great, man. I can't wait. I honestly, that's not like bullshit for the podcast either. Actually, I'm planning on listening right after this, finding some stuff to watch because it is Halloween right now. So that's the plan. And before we get to the rest of this week's slate and a recap of our records and all that, I want to clear something up. Kevin Quinn, West Coast Kev, clarified that, because I said last week he's a Falcons fan. Turns out it was during the Michael Vick era, but I guess it was Warwick Dunn, Keith Brooking, who predated Michael Vick a little bit.
Sure. Those
are the players that got him into it, just to clear that up. He wanted to mention that. So I find it hard to believe. I feel like he's almost being a hipster, where it's like, no, I liked the team with Michael Vick on it, but that's not why I liked them. Seems like that kind of deal. Anyway, who's to say? I guess we take him at his word. Still a Falcons fan now, so he deserves all the credit because it's been a goddamn brutal season for them.
That team is wild.
Yeah.
That team is wild.
Yeah, but I guess we could start with recaps. So the locks last week, West Coast Kevin. Hold on, I got to find it.
I've got West Coast now.
Do you have what their
Bills.
picks were?
Yeah, I've just got Bills, but his lock was Bills, and then primetime picks Seahawks and Bears, which... Oof.
So West Coast Kevin, his lock was actually a Bills-Panthers tease. I think we misspoke on that one.
Okay.
And he did hit on that. So that moved the line for both those games. He did hit on that, so he got a win, bringing his record to 3-3 in locks, which is impressive because I think he started 0-3. So he's climbed back to 500, which is huge. And then Hatch, do you have what his pick was?
I think I've just got Steelers and Saints, but he hit on both, I believe. They both won. So.
Yes, so he's got, he hit that, so he's up to 4-2. Another good record. I know I lost on another MMA pick, which is kind of par for the course for me. So I'm 1-2. I think I picked Nathaniel Wood to win. He did not. So I am 1-2 for my locks. And then where are you at?
My lock was Packers Steelers, and I want to say that was my first win on a lock because my two previous locks had been over unders. Missed on both of them. Hit both on Packers Steelers last week. So overall 11-3 last week. Skins killed me. Bears killed me. Seahawks killed me.
All right, yeah. I mean, the Skins killed both of us. We talked in depth about that.
I couldn't believe it.
Right.
I couldn't believe what I'm watching. But, I mean,
Same.
it is...
At this point, we're tanking too, right? It seems clear to me. And we're trading people away. We're doing like a fire sale. Well, I never thought I'd see the day, though. Even when it makes sense to tank, Jerry Jones is always adamant about, like, we're the Dallas Cowboys. We're always going. Not this year, man. It is horrible.
Well, who has Dallas traded so far?
We traded some defensive players. No one huge yet, I don't think. I can't even remember who, but
not like a Jalen Smith off the books or something.
No,
like, what was the Jalen Smith contract?
It's bad. I don't know, and he's been underwhelming. I mean, he looks like he could turn into something, and then really did not. So a lot of guys like that. Guys like, I mean, honestly, anyone. So we got to sell everybody. Like anyone we can get picks for. It's a true rebuild now. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we had Ben DiNucci playing, so
that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, Landon Collins, torn Achilles. He was on the trade, I think they were trying to get that bad contract off the books, and then boom, Achilles destroyed. Injury guarantee.
There's a lot of, I wonder if all this trading is going to, we don't have to talk about the Cowboys that much, but I wonder if all the trading is leading to, I mean, obviously we're creating cap space, trying to get draft equity, but I wonder if this is also to sign Dak, or if we're going to try to tank and get, like, the next guy. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence, whoever, but the next guy.
I'm sure the Jets will do something insane, or Trevor Lawrence will do a Eli Manning and pout. If the Cowboys make it to like 3, there could be some weird Jerry Jones behind the scenes, weird NFL. He's the most powerful owner in the NFL, right? If anyone could pull it off, the absolute heist, or just pull an RG3 where it's like 3 to 4 years worth of first round picks to get Trevor Lawrence, I wouldn't put it past him at all.
Yeah, and I guess I just wonder, we can talk towards the end of the season. I just wonder, I don't know what I want with Dak. I do like the whole proven commodity over taking a chance on a college kid, no matter how good that college kid looks. But you're talking about a huge difference in price tag, so we'll see about that. But anyway, let's get into this. Let's get into the slates. We'll end with our locks for this coming week. But starting with the 1 o'clock games, we're starting off with a rivalry, even though it's not much of a rival this year. The Vikings at the Packers. Vikings 1-5, Packers 5-1. Couldn't be heading in more different directions. The Vikings are 7-point underdogs. Who do you got?
I'm going to go with the Packers. Devontae Adams looked great last week. He went for 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, 13 receptions. I want to say this is the first instance of the second division game. So the Packers played the Vikings week 1, and Adams absolutely torched them again. He went 156 for 2 touchdowns. I expect the same thing to happen again. Minnesota's pass defense is ranked like 29th in the NFL. Dalvin Cook is supposed to be back this week, I think, finally. But I think David Bakhtiari is also expected to be back. So he's going to be, starting left tackle for Rodgers. So I'm going to go Packers. I just think it's going to be Aaron Rodgers just throwing bombs to Devontae Adams all day.
Yeah, and I think this will be a running theme for me this week, because a lot of the teams that are heavy favorites and giving up a lot of points, like I still feel like they'll cover. It just seems like there's such a gap in talent. So I'm also going Packers. I don't care about the 7 points. I think they're able to cover that fairly easily. I think the Vikings are absolute garbage. Plus, again, we talked about this, but you have the Aaron Rodgers FU tour. I don't think he's going to let up, especially against a rival. So I think he's going to really try to pour it on. I think they're more than capable of succeeding, especially in Green Bay. So we'll see. But next, Titans at Bengals. Titans, similar story, by the way. Titans 5-1, Bengals 5-1. Of course, they tied the Eagles. The Titans are 6-point favorites. I'll just start. I guess I'm going with the Titans. I think they'll cover. Similar reasons for the Packers. I think the Bengals are that bad. I do like Joe Burrow. I think he's scrappy. But I think the Titans are the real deal. I actually feel like they could go all the way, make a Super Bowl run. I feel like they have such a complete team, offense, defense, everything. I like Vrabel as a coach. So I think the Titans cover that spread. What about you?
Yeah. I think the Titans are going to rebound. They're probably grumpy, pissed off. Derrick Henry is going to get back into form, I think, a little bit this week, running on the Bengals, who just traded away like Carlos Dunlap, right? Their best defensive lineman. Yeah. So that's going to be interesting to see how they handle that. I'm still, the whole like Trevor Lewin left tackle for the Titans being gone, I think is massive. I think he's like kind of a sneaky, I think because of the whole playing in Tennessee doesn't maybe get as much attention, but I think he's a sneaky like top 3 left tackle in the league. And still seeing how Tannehill kind of deals with that, but I think their O-line in general is pretty good. But yeah, Burrow looked better last week. 3 touchdowns last week, 1 pick, I think. Yeah, the Bengals are doing great. I love to see the Bengals kind of scrapping and clawing, and in a year from now or 2, they're kind of where the Browns will be, or maybe surpass where the Browns are. The Browns just have so much more talent superstar talent and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
I do like
I'm
the
excited to
Bengals
see
like
them.
bones more than I like the Browns bones as far as like, rebuilding. I really like what the Bengals are setting up here. It will take another season or two, as you mentioned, but the Browns seems like they just went for flashy names, a lot of offense, and I feel like the Bengals are, for lack of a better term, kind of doing it the right way. So I do like what they're building there.
Yeah.
So next we got Jets versus the Chiefs. Biggest discrepancy on the board by far. Jets are 20-point underdogs, at least when I checked the other day. Of course, they're 0-7. They're basically climbing towards a winless season. The Chiefs 6-1. Huge difference. Who do you got in this one?
Yeah, I saw one book. I'm trying to remember which one, but it had just the money line was 2,500 for the Jets or for the Chiefs rather.
Sure.
And I was like, for an NFL game, I mean that's just wild to me. But
Right.
The Chiefs are one of the worst run defenses in the league. So if they can get Frank Gore going, I think Frank Gore is getting over 4 yards per carry. That won't obviously be enough, but it'll be interesting that it's the Le'Veon Bell revenge game. He's getting, I think, like 6.5 yards per carry against Denver is what he went with. I just can't imagine anything happening here that we don't just all expect.
So who are you taking?
I'm Chiefs, obviously.
See, I think I could go to the Jets, even though all logic says the Chiefs are going to win by 100, just because you see 20 points, and that's the whole point. But that's so many points. Like, it's so easy to imagine the Jets randomly, like, scrapping their way to at least a competitive game. The Chiefs, taking their foot off the gas. This is like kind of a letdown game for them. It's basically a free win.
Yeah.
So I feel like 20 points is very tempting. I just can't pick against that. So I'm going with the Jets, knowing they'll lose by a ton, but hopefully less than 20. That's what I'm doing.
Right. Yeah.
So Colts at 4-2, they're 3-point favorites. They're facing the Lions at 3-3. This one I go back and forth on. I feel like that again. This is the odds maker's job here, but that 3 points is very tempting. Where I feel like, all right, the Lions, if they're giving 3, they can at least maybe push it. It's probably gonna be a close game. I think the Lions could even win outright, and I'm tempted to go with the Lions. The Colts, obviously a 4-2 record, but I feel like they're a bit of a fraud team. I don't have much of an explanation for that. I just feel like they are. I see 4-2. That makes them seem a lot better than I actually think they are. And I think the Lions are kind of overlooked. I think they're scrappy as well. So I'm going to go Lions with the 3 points, but I don't feel great about this one.
Yeah, I think a big sneaky factor this year, T.Y. Hilton has looked horrible this year. They've really missed Michael Pittman Jr., who comes back from IR this week. So finally, he had like leg compartment syndrome, which I'm not exactly sure what that is, but he's back this week. Colts passing defense has given up the least yards in the NFL, so it is going to be a little bit harder for Stafford to throw. But Slayton has been, I want to say, like, Slayton's kind of the premier wide receiver, I think, for the Lions this season, but he's been on the trade block the last couple of weeks, so I always wonder if that helps boost his juice a little bit, like to look more attractive to get out of Detroit, or if it messes with his head.
Sure.
But I'm gonna go. I like the Colts to win. Let's say.
Okay. Next, I have this is easily the game of the week. 2 weeks in a row, by the way, for the Steelers. Steelers versus the Titans last week. Game of the week. 2 undefeated teams. They pulled it off. They got the win. Now we got the Steelers versus the Ravens. I had to double check this a few times. The Steelers 6-0. Granted, they face some NFC East teams, so that might be boosting their record a little bit. But they're coming off a huge win, and they're 4-point underdogs to the Ravens. So I guess the Lamar Jackson hype is still real. Ravens, of course, 5-1. Who do you have in this one?
I like the Steelers +4. Ravens are favored coming off the bye. They're getting more time to rest and recover and all that stuff. But you can run on the Ravens. The pass D is very good. The Ravens blitz the most in the NFL. They're blitzing on like over 50% of their snaps, and then the Steelers are right behind them at second. But Ben's only been sacked 8 times. The Ravens have given up 15 sacks. Lamar is still sackable. He was like Mike Vick back in the day, where it's, you wouldn't believe it, but Mike Vick's sacked the most in every year, right? But it's kind of that same style. Ravens have the best yards per carry in the NFL. Ravens pass the least in the NFL with Lamar, so I feel like they're gonna kind of bottle up Lamar and force him to pass. And with Minkah Fitzpatrick in the back secondary and Hayden and things like that, I like the Steelers.
So this is one of those weird sort of gut feeling games for me where I'm just looking at the Steelers' schedule. I can't imagine the Steelers being the first team to go 16-0. And they're 6-0 right now, but I'm looking at their schedule. They face the Ravens twice, and then the Bills. Otherwise, I mean, it's pretty. This is the rest of their schedule besides that. It's the Ravens, obviously, tomorrow. Then the Cowboys, easy win for the Steelers. Bengals, easy win for the Steelers. Jaguars, easy win for the Steelers. Ravens again. Washington, easy win for the Steelers. Bills, kind of tough. Bengals again. Colts, Browns. I feel like one of these Ravens games has to be a loss, and I feel like it might be this one. The 4-point favorite scares me a little bit because I feel like this could really be like a last-minute field goal kind of game, and then you would lose the bet even though the Ravens win the game. But I feel like this will be the Steelers' first loss. They're the last undefeated team in football at 6-0, and I think that ends this week. So I'm going Ravens -4. Next, we have the Rams versus the Dolphins. The Rams are part of that absolutely ridiculous stacked division. The NFC East right now, NFC West, Seahawks, Cardinals, Rams, 49ers, I think all have winning records. Let me look that up quick. Yeah, the 49ers are in last place with a 4-3 record.
That's crazy.
It is crazy, especially, I mean, you look at the NFC East and someone's got to be winning, right? So, like, if we're doing that bad, there's got to be these stacked divisions. That's by far the most stacked. Seahawks 5-1, Cardinals 5-2, Rams 5-2. 49ers 4-3. So getting to the Rams. The Rams are 5-2. They're 3.5-point favorites against the Dolphins, who are 3-3. The Dolphins, it's such a weird year for the AFC East. Really, the first time the Patriots it's not guaranteed the Patriots are going to win the division. So the Bills are running away with it, sort of, but the Dolphins are in striking distance if they can make some moves. They're going to Tua, right? So I don't know. We'll see about that, but it's a close line. Whatever that's going to tell you, but I have the Rams covering that spread pretty easily. I was kind of surprised to see it only being a 3.5-point favorite. But what do you got?
Yeah, I was the same. I'm going to go ahead with the Rams at -3.
It's one of those games. Am I missing something? Like, why is that line so close? It seems like the Rams should be heavy favorites.
I think maybe the Tua factor. They're thinking that it's going to be an offensive explosion somehow, maybe, and more points being scored. I'm not sure, but yeah, no. I mean, I don't know. I think it's going to be. It's going to be interesting. I mean, you got, that's a tough one. Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey in your first start in the NFL. Fitzpatrick was the second leading rusher on the Dolphins, because he'd just get out there and just scramble and go take those first downs. So I don't know if Tua is going to necessarily be able to replicate that. I mean, I don't know if they want him to. Would you want Tua, like, hey, get out there and go for those, like, 11-yard scampers? Like, I don't know.
It seems risky if that's, like, your franchise guy. Yeah.
Can't imagine, right? So,
but also that's his skill set, so you can't, like, tell him not to do that because you're diminishing, like, why he is this, big name,
Totally, yeah. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what the game plan is. I bet they'll feed Gaskin a ton, and he's going to need a huge game. But, yeah, I scratch my head at this one. I would let Fitzy hang in there until probably week 10 at least, and just, it's just going to be awkward. The CBS camera just panning and watching Fitzpatrick just like sulking on the bench the whole time. But he seems like a good teammate, was kind of helping coaching Tua up on stuff. But yeah, that whole drama behind the scenes has probably not been great for the locker room, I bet.
Yeah, I mean, we'll take him on the Cowboys if he wants to come over.
I bet.
I would love to. I guess not because we're tanking. Who knows? Anyway, we'll stick with the AFC East then. I got the Pats +4 versus the Bills. Crazy. I think I saw this on Barstool. This is the first time the Pats have been underdogs since like 2015 or something against in-division rival, which makes sense, obviously, because the Pats have been so dominant, but it's still crazy to just even see that. I don't know. I wonder if there's a big brother mentality with the Bills where they're like, yes, the Patriots are having a down year, but it's still the Patriots. Or I don't know. It could go either way.
Yeah, it being home at Buffalo, I think may supersede the big brother factor to me.
Do they have a crowd though? They can't, right, in New York?
No, but I mean, they're going to have the Bills
I wish
Mafia,
there was a crowd this year of all years. That's like the number one joke of it all is that the Bills finally have like a good team. They're winning the division, and the fans can't go watch the game.
Totally. Same
horrible.
thing with the Browns too. The Browns faithful always go out, but now like they can't really even enjoy it.
Yeah. It's horrible. Yeah. But it's fascinating. It's fascinating to see the sort of role switch between these two teams. Again, the Bills are 4-point favorites, Pats 4-point underdogs. I guess we'll start with you. What do you got?
Yeah, I picked the Bills when the line was still -3.5, so I feel a little bit more. I'm going with 3.5. I know it moved, but that was kind of my pick. But yeah, I'm worried about the Bills. They couldn't score a touchdown against the Jets last week. They won on 6 field goals, which is insane. I hope you had that fantasy kicker, whoever that was.
Wasn't that a record too? I feel like there's some record for like most field goals without, or like highest scoring game without a single touchdown or something.
I want to say I don't know what the I don't know what the final combined score was, but I mean, I think he took 8 and hit 6 and they won.
Yeah, crazy.
But it was like 18-11 or something. It was horrible. I mean,
8 field goal attempts alone is insane.
Oh yeah, don't hurt yourself out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like a Trustway punting situation, where he's just out there constantly working all day. Yeah, I mean, Allen, he still threw for 300 yards, led the team in rushing with 65 yards on the ground. The Pats have a great kind of secondary passing defense with Stephen Gilmore and all that stuff. Edelman's out this week with some sort of weird phantom precautionary knee procedure that he just had to have done this week. So I was like, is this a further Bill conspiracy theory of just him just slowly kind of, tanking and game planning and things like that? Cam, I have no idea. I mean, I don't know what to make of Cam.
He hasn't been good
it was
since COVID.
COVID hangover.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Oh, I mean, not great. It's not great like post-COVID Cam, needs a big week.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going Bills as well.
Yeah,
Because
same thing.
I just feel like, I don't know, there is this weird thing in my head where it's like, but it's the Patriots. But I mean, they look horrible. They look so bad. And I agree. I think there is a very realistic possibility that Bill is at least strategically trying to tank. Like, how often has he had a chance to really rebuild? They're constantly going for Super Bowls every year and obviously winning them. So, I'm not crying for Bill Belichick, but this is his chance as a football mastermind to really rebuild the team and have it be excusable. Because the situation, they had a bunch of people sit out the year. They've got Cam Newton, but he got COVID. They're almost out of striking distance. Not yet, of course, but the Bills do look like the real deal. It looks like they're going to run away with the division. It looks like the Patriots, it's going to take a miracle for them to steal a wild card at this point. So I don't know. I just don't. I don't trust the Patriots to even really show up. I feel like the Bills are just going to run away with this one.
Yeah, I think on the road it's getting cold out there. They might just kind of let's pack it up and hang in there for next week.
Yeah, the Edelman thing, I didn't even know that makes me believe in the Bills even more.
Yeah.
All right, so final 1:00 game. You have the Raiders versus the Browns. Raiders are 2.5-point underdogs. Browns 2.5-point favorites. Basically a pick 'em almost. Raiders are 3-3 on the year. Browns are 5-2. Another line I'm a little surprised about. I guess people just don't believe in the Browns still. By the way, that division also stacked. AFC North, they have the Steelers, Ravens, and Browns 6-0, 5-1, 5-2, which is crazy. Also excuses the Bengals' bad record a little bit because I do feel like they're scrappy, but they're in a crazy division. So I feel like I'm going with the Browns. It's another line I'm kind of surprised about. I don't think the Raiders, I don't really have a lot of faith in them at all. And I think the Browns 5-2 maybe a little overinflated, but I do think they're a good team that could steal a wild card spot, could make a playoff run. So I don't know. I'm going with the Browns.
Yeah, I'm going with the Browns too. I think they look better without Odell Beckham Jr. Maybe like addition by subtraction. Just Baker looked better last week. I think Higgins, who came in to kind of replace Odell, he went for over 100 yards. Like no Browns receiver has gone for over 100 yards in years. Apparently, I saw. So the Raiders give up a ton of yards passing. They went. I think Tom Brady threw for like 370 yards, 4 touchdowns when the Raiders played the Bucs last week. Josh Jacobs looks bad. He's in a sophomore slump. He rushed for 17 yards against Tampa Bay. Horrible. I think Carr will be back there, forced to throw. The Browns' pass D is pretty bad. It's ranked 30th in the NFL, so he's going to have some opportunities. A big matchup to me, though, is Myles Garrett in his league-leading 9 sacks going up against Derek Carr that's going to have to stand in pocket and throw. So I think the Raiders gave up 3 sacks last week against Tampa. So I'm expecting Myles Garrett to probably get at least 1.5 sacks.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. So both going for the Browns there. Now we're on to the 4:00 games. There's only 3, I think. So we have the Chargers against the Broncos. The Chargers are 2-4. Broncos also 2-4. Chargers slight favorites, 2.5-point favorites. This game stinks. Couldn't imagine wanting to watch any part of this game. But you have to make a pick, I guess. You can start. I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah. I'm going to go Chargers. Mine was -3, so the line moved a little bit, but I like the Chargers. Like they've slowly become my kind of adopted team out on the West Coast.
Sure.
Because I get every Rams game and every Chargers game living in Orange County. So I love watching Herbert, you know what I mean? Herbert's looking great. It's finally fun to see Keenan Allen thriving, you know, where he's kind of been like a wasted talent banished to, you know, the Chargers. I mean, Herbert went for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Jags. I know it's the Jags, but still, you know. Denver's pass defense, it's like middle of the league, 16th, I think. But they're 4th in giving up passing touchdowns. So they're tough, they're stout kind of in the red zone. You know, Denver's D had 4 sacks against the Chiefs. They got to Mahomes, so they can get to Herbert, but Herbert, you know, has some wheels on him. So his good escapability, I think he led the team in rushing last week. He went 9 rushes for 66 yards. Like, he'll go out and, I mean, and that, I think was it week 1 or week 2 where he put his shoulder down and knocked out the dude in Kansas City, right?
I can't remember which one. Yeah,
he's huge.
Yep.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's getting more comfortable. This is the weird Melvin Gordon revenge game. So I don't know if that's going to factor in. I don't know how much that's going to help. I haven't really kept track of how well he's been doing for the Broncos this season. The Broncos are like my least attuned to team. I have no idea what's going on with them. But yeah, I mean, you know, Melvin Gordon's first game back. You know, the Chargers allow 4.5 yards per carry on the year. So, I mean, he might be able to eat up, you know, I mean, Anthony Lynn, did you see the quote? Like, Anthony Lynn, the Chargers head coach last week, James Robinson, the running back for the Jags, he was like, we made him look like Earl Campbell. You know what I mean? So the Jags rushing defense needs to clean things up. So
sure,
I don't know. Melvin, he might have an opportunity.
So what you said about the Broncos, because obviously you're out in LA, but what you said about the Broncos, how I feel about both these teams. I'm not really paying attention, so I'm just gonna follow you. I'll go with the Chargers too, giving up the 2.5, or I think you said you got it at 3. So the other 2 games are actually pretty good games. I don't know which ones are televised, but you know, I would assume these other ones. You have Saints versus the Bears. Saints are 4-2. Bears 5-2. Now the Saints are 5-point favorites. Also a line that kind of surprised me. I know the Bears have been struggling of late a little bit, but then you know, I feel like the Saints struggled early. It hasn't been that much time since we were talking about the Saints as being a liability and possibly overrated as well. So the line surprises me. I think the Saints could win, but I think it'll be a close game. So if the Bears are getting 5 points, I think I'm gonna go with the Bears +5.
Okay. Yeah. The Bears are dead to me, I think, for the year. I mean, their offense is horrible.
Sure.
Nick Foles can't score. Their O-line looks terrible. The Bears have the fewest rushing yards in the league, so it's all been on Nick Foles. They have the fewest rushing touchdowns in the league. They only have 2 rushing touchdowns this year. I mean, the Saints rushing defense is great. The pass defense is ranked 30th, though, so Nick Foles might be able to rebound a little bit against them. And Mike Thomas is back this week, allegedly. Allegedly, he's finally going to come back. So between Kamara and Michael Thomas coming back, like, I'll take the 5 points. You know what I mean? So I can't imagine them not being able to cover this one. I'm going to go Saints.
All right. And then the final game at 4 o'clock, 49ers versus Seahawks. That was the stacked division we talked about. Seahawks in first, 49ers in last in the division, but both having, you know, pretty solid seasons. The 49ers obviously struggling a lot more, especially with injuries and all that. They're 4-3. They're 3-point underdogs in this game. The Seahawks 5-1, looking like the real benchmark for how, you know, the best team in the league right now, at least in the discussion for that. So who do you have in this one?
I'm going to go Seahawks. The 49ers look great against bad teams. They beat up on the Pats last week. That really surprised me. You know, how well they beat up on the Bills.
Yeah,
Pats.
the level of beatdown, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a different story this week. Like, Jimmy Garoppolo he's either so up or so down. I can't imagine an angry Russ isn't just going to come back and just murder them. You know, Mostert, they basically sat Mostert all last week, which I think I have him on 2 fantasy teams, so that really helped me a lot. I want to say he got 2 or 3 carries for like 7 yards in garbage time. So the 49ers have some weird, wild, like 5-man deep running back situation where you never know who's going to play. You never know how well they're going to do. It's a nightmare out there. So without any consistency in the run game, and then you got Jimmy Garoppolo back there throwing against, you know, not like the Legion of Boom like it used to be, but still, like, you know what I mean? Like, Jamal Adams, I think, is coming back this week, right? So he's going to be lurking.
They're another team, by the way. Like, I look at the Patriots, even though they're 2-4, and I still look at them as, you know, world beaters. I still look at Seattle's defense as like this dominant defense, even though, you know, that is kind of a ghost of the past there, but still.
Just no one's there, right? I mean, like the Cam Chancellor years and the Earl Campbell, or Earl Thomas, right?
Yeah.
I always want to say Earl Thomas and Richard Sherman. I'm going the Seahawks. They need a redemption for me.
Okay. I'm also going Seahawks. I think Seahawks -3 is kind of a slap in the face. I really think they are the cream of the crop of the league this year, not only that stacked division. So I'm going Seahawks, giving up the points. Moving on to the primetime games, and I hate this. And you know what's going to happen, but the Cowboys are so bad. The Eagles are bad too, but the Cowboys are horrible. I have it at 9.5 points. My dad, Cowboys fan, actually called me and said, he's like, the Cowboys are like 10, whatever. He like read it in the paper, I'm sure. But,
sure, yeah.
Cowboys 2-5 in prime time, so the world's gonna watch how terrible we are, which is my nightmare. Happens all the time. Versus the Eagles 2-4-1, again that tie against the Bengals, and the Eagles are 9.5 point favorites. I'll let you start, I guess.
Yeah, I like the Eagles. I think the Eagles are actually gonna cover. So, I mean, they have 24 sacks on the year, which is third in the league, and they are also activating Dallas Goedert, the backup tight end to Ernst, who's actually had an arguably better year without the injury. They get back Rager, the young wide receiver. They get back Jason Peters. They get back linebacker TJ Edwards and safety Rudy Ford. So they're bringing a lot of the banged up Eagles are coming back this week. And then starting, my homeboy, the seventh round pick out of JMU. I just can't imagine that's going to be pretty to watch. The Skins had 6 sacks against Dallas, and the strength of that team is that defensive line. But if the Eagles are going to find their way to get to them too, I'm assuming they're going to add 3 sacks this game at least.
Yeah, I mean the Cowboys' whole offensive line is
it's just a patchwork,
right?
Yeah.
So last week, and I by the way, I had no illusion. As soon as Dak was out, I thought if Dak stayed in, we might be able to make some tweaks on defense and make a run. Still, as soon as Dak was out, I have no illusion about even making a playoff run. But the division's so shitty, we are technically in a position to win the division.
Sure.
Last week was it broke me. Now the offensive line is so bad that I feel like Andy Dalton is probably giving more shit than he deserves because he had to come in, unexpectedly when Dak shatters his leg. That can't be easy, and he has no time in the pocket. I mean, he had no time at all. So I don't blame him. It's a horrible spot for a 7th round rookie who didn't even play, from a big school. So that's
didn't even get a preseason, yeah,
right, or a preseason or anything. Yeah, he got to play the second half of last game. Looked horrible. 25-3 to Washington is inexcusable. I mean, it's horrible.
I couldn't believe it. I was watching it just screaming at the television because I'm praying for Trevor and tanking, and I watched my draft pick go from, I think they were picking 3rd to 10th.
Right.
So I mean, that's par for the Skins. You know what I mean? Just win enough games, and this year is so competitive in the bad teams.
Yeah.
You might be picking in the teens with 3 wins.
Right.
It's pathetic out there. So
I agree.
Yeah.
So also I'm going with the Eagles -9.5, and I don't even really think that's a difficult pick, which it should be because the line's so heavy. But it's I think they're going to lose by 50. I really, and that's not me even being biased. With my eye, and 25-3 against the Skins, the Eagles are much better than the Skins, and it's going to be even worse. We don't even have Andy Dalton suiting up, so I don't. I mean, it's horrible.
Maybe Zeke had 12 carries last week for 45 yards.
But he fumbles every time he touches the ball now, too. I don't know what's happening. Yeah. I'd rather just play Tony Pollard, and I don't know, man. It's horrible. So that's where we're at. Right. I'm a broken fan. Normally I have this, and it's worse at the end of the year when they break my heart. I'm normally not just out. I can't remember the last time I've been completely like this. Maybe the year there was the year that Romo got hurt. And it was a 3-13 year or something. There's some horrible year. Maybe it wasn't that bad, but that's the last time I can remember being this down on this team. And it's rough out there for Cowboys fans.
Yeah, Jason Garrett's just got to be laughing and laughing.
I know.
I mean, he's not in a better situation, but
but Jason Garrett 8-8 is looking pretty good. 8-8, we're cruising to the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
Anyway, Eagles, I guess. Monday Night Football, the Bucks versus the Giants. It's Tom Brady versus the Giants, but actually, I feel like every time they face in the regular season, it's pretty lopsided towards Tom Brady's favor. Obviously, this year, exceedingly so. The Giants, I have it as them being 10.5 point underdogs, so they're actually bigger underdogs than we are somehow. I know the Bucks are great, but the Cowboys are that bad where I feel like we should be heavier. Bucks 5-2. Bucks looking like the real deal. Looks like Tom Brady could make a run in the Super Bowl, which would be insane if he went to a different team at his age and was able to pull it off. kind of a cool storyline, to be honest. I wouldn't mind seeing that just for the sports story of it all. But I think the Bucs giving up 10.5, although it's a heavy number, I feel like they pull it off. I think the Giants are that bad as well.
Yeah, the Giants, their passing secondary is ranked like back of the league. I think it's like 22nd. It's got to be worse than the Raiders, and he threw for 4 touchdowns on the Raiders, almost 400 yards. So yeah, I'm gonna go Brady, and then it's not this week, but is it next week? When do we get Antonio Brown back? When is that happening? Is that a week from now? Or I don't know what the COVID protocols are.
Me neither. Yeah, it's all about quarantining. By the way, shout out to Dez Bryant. Got picked up by the Ravens on their practice squad. I think it's the same kind of deal. I love Dez. I feel like he's a diva in the right ways. Like, it's not about like personal catches. He'll throw fits in the sideline when his team's losing. If he has 10 catches and the team loses, he'll be mad. If he has 1 catch and the team's winning, he'll be like high-fiving people and jawing it up and all that. So I like Dez. I was very sad for him when he got signed by the Saints and immediately got hurt. I'm glad. I thought it was over for him. I'm glad that he got picked up not only by a team but by the Ravens, who are the real deal this year. I hope we see him suit up, actually play, get some significant.
He's got to get activated,
production,
right? Like,
I think signing him to the practice squad is almost the way it works with like COVID. So I think they're trying to. I don't think he's really on the practice squad. I think they're trying to work him into the system. So that's why he's there. I assume we'll see him suit up in a real game this year, and I personally, as a Cowboys fan, can't wait for it.
I realized I was like, wow, I don't know how the practice squad works, because I assumed it was for like year 1 to 3 guys are eligible for the practice squad. Because remember how people used to say he's eligible for the practice squad.
Yeah, right.
So,
right.
So what does because of COVID, has that all changed? Everyone, if Dez is eligible, literally anyone is eligible at this point.
Yeah, Dez
right?
is an old man in this game.
He's like 38 years. How old is he? I mean,
I think he's only like 31 or something.
He's probably 27. But to us, he's like we think he's 40 years old. But imagine
he's 31. He's 31 years old. It's so young.
Okay,
not in football, wide receiver.
Not,
but
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, imagine RG3 throwing to Dez Bryant. I mean, that might be wild to see if it somehow comes to pass.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to see that personally. So yeah, we're going with the Bucs. Do you have the primetime picks for the Kevins? So East Coast Kev, Steelers, Raiders. That's Kevin Hatch. West Coast Kev. I'm scrolling through my text messages here. Let's see. West Coast Kev has the Eagles and Bucs. So he's going Eagles and Bucs. So are we Cowboys Giants. So he's going the opposite.
Yeah,
he's taking Cowboys Giants with the points for his primetime picks. Now we can get into the locks. So I went and recalculated. There's some confusion over previous records. Absolutely. I went and recalculated. Hatch and Kevin both hit on their picks last week. So Hatch is currently up to 4-2. Kevin Quinn is currently up to 3-3. Which, as we were talking about before the show started, I think he was 0-3, so he's climbed back to 500, pretty impressive. And
he's 3-3?
3-3 now, yep, after hitting last week. And I am 1-2 because I missed my MMA pick. How did your lock go last week?
I'm 1-2. So my lock last week was Packers Steelers, so hit on those. I missed on the first 2 weeks I was doing them with over-unders. So I went back to just picking straight games. So I'm 1-2.
And we can just start, I guess, with your lock for this week then.
Sure. Yeah, I'm gonna go for the California special. I was like, let me find something fun. I'm gonna go Rams and Chargers. So I wanted to step outside the comfort zone.
Okay.
And go the Southern California special.
So you're teasing it, I assume. So we have Rams -3.5, Chargers -2.5. So that brings the Rams to actually getting 2.5 or 3.5 points. And the Chargers are now getting 4.5 points with the 6-point thing. So basically, if they both win, you're good. They're even giving up some points, or getting some points, I should say. So pretty good pick there. That actually crossed over a little bit with. Oh no, it doesn't. I thought it did. Never mind. We'll go right into Kevin Hatch's pick. East Coast Kevin. He is teasing the Steelers and the Raiders. Of course, he's a Steelers fan. Both of them are slight underdogs. So with the tease, the Steelers are now getting 10 points. The Raiders are getting 8.5. So pretty favorable lines there. Kevin Quinn is actually going with the Eagles -9.5 as his lock. So not only does he think the Eagles are going to win that game, he's taking it as his lock for the week as well. If I was doing a football pick, which I haven't been, I actually agree with that. I feel like they're going to run away with that game. 9.5 is not enough points for how bad this Cowboys team is. even if the Cowboys are like trying to scrap because of a rivalry, I think the Eagles run away with that one. And then my pick to stick with the MMA thing, I guess you have to listen now because the fights are tonight. But it's a pick 'em on the card. Bryce Mitchell over Andre Fili. Bryce Mitchell 13-0. Andre Fili, I think, has become one of those guys that's like a gatekeeper where he's standing between, the good fighters and the great fighters. I think Bryce Mitchell certainly has the potential to be a great fighter. His last fight was against Charles Rosa. Certainly no scrub, and I feel like Andre Fili is a step up, but nothing that Bryce Mitchell can't handle, especially with the confidence he has. So I think Bryce Mitchell takes it. He's a slight favorite. He's like a -120, but that is my MMA lock of the week, and I think that's it, right? Does that wrap it up?
Did you make primetime picks?
Yes, I picked the Eagles and the Bucks. Yeah, the favorites.
Okay,
which
cool.
all 3 out of the 4 of us picked that.
Yep,
Kevin Hatch.
We're all doing the same thing.
Kevin Hatch is going against the grain a little bit, but yeah, I think that's it.
All right.
So thank you guys for listening. Rate, review, subscribe. It's on YouTube. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you find podcasts. So wherever you're listening to it, just share that link with your friends. And I think that'll do it.